put a spell on you.
On Halloween night, a black flame candle is lit and brings back to life three 17th century witches.
It's just a bunch of hocus pocus.
Today, almost 30 years later, these three spooky sisters are more on the pop culture scene than ever before. If you search online for the most popular Halloween movie ever, the answer will probably be Hocus Pocus. Although the movie wasn't a box office hit, just like the Sanderson sisters, it rose from the ashes and became a cult classic. But how did Hocus Pocus cast this spell? Join us as we take a look behind the scenes, delve into the visual effects and reveal some production secrets of one of the most beloved Disney movies ever. This is the full story of Hocus Pocus.
Twist the bones and bend the back.
Here to decapit American mysteries.
Come to mommy. Just a bunch of hocus pocus.
Long before a candle was lit and three 17th century witches returned to the present day, the original idea for the movie Hocus Pocus came from film producer David Kirshner, who thought of it as a bedtime story for his young daughters. While sat on the porch of his house, a black cat from the neighbourhood passed by. He came up with the story of a boy who, to save his sister from three witches, was cursed and turned into a feline 300 years ago. Kirshner's wife realised the story's potential and suggested he write it down to invest in this plot. Kirshner joined his friend and screenwriter Mick Garris and together they worked on it. Garris had a past in horror productions and brought his dark experience to the script. Both had worked with Steven Spielberg on An American Tail, and the director showed a lot of interest and wanted the script for his production company. Kirshner set up a meeting with Jeffrey Katzenberg, the then president of Walt Disney, who liked the script, originally called Halloween House, and closed a deal in 1984. Other writers joined the project and made the story less bleak, although the saga of three witches who suck innocent children's lives and fight a zombie who loses his head is a very unusual plot for Disney, especially in the late 80s. For 8 years the script circulated behind the scenes and went through changes, but it remained unproduced. During the changes it was renamed Hocus Pocus. David Kirshner wanted actress Cloris Leachman to play Winifred, but the script came into the hands of another star. Born in the Hawaiian capital Honolulu on December 1st, 1945, with a versatile and consolidated career, Bette Midler is the winner of 4 Golden Globes, 3 Emmys, 2 Tonys, and twice nominated for an Oscar. Her movie career began in 1979 with The Rose, which she was nominated for an Oscar and won a Golden Globe for Best Actress.
I'll show you a pair of Golden Globes. Excuse me, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it.
In 1986, Midler signed a contract with Disney for 3 feature films, and these movies produced more Golden Globe nominations. Talking about the studio's partnership with the actress, Disney's president told the New York Times, "We got married." And they were successful together from 1986 to 1993. Bette Midler was in 10 projects for Disney. When the script for Hocus Pocus fell into her hands, the actress saw the opportunity to do something different from the characters she played before, and was excited to portray a witch in a movie dedicated to younger audiences. Kenny Ortega was chosen to direct the project. They had previously worked together on Midler's debut film when he choreographed the actress in The Rose. Ortega had a musical background. He created the dance numbers for Xanadu, and in 1987 cemented his fame as a choreographer in the Oscar winner Dirty Dancing. On his resume, he has also choreographed a huge list of pop music stars like Cher, Madonna and Michael Jackson. In 1992, with Newsies, Ortega debuted as a director for Disney.
Thank you, Max, for that marvelous introduction.
With Bette Midler on board, the movie gained momentum to finally get off the ground. And actress Sarah Jessica Parker, who was 28 at the time, also signed with the project.
I'll be thy friend.
To play Mary Sanderson, actress Rosie O'Donnell was the first name considered, but she didn't like the idea of playing a witch and denied. Kathy Najimy won the role. The previous year she was in Sister Act. She was Midler's fan and showed an immediate interest in working with the actress. With Najimy coming on board, Hocus Pocus was officially in production, and its 3 protagonist witches were finally cast.
It's a star!
For the teenage hero's role, the 18-year-old actor Leonardo DiCaprio seemed the ideal choice. DiCaprio had a meeting with the director Kenny Ortega, but that year he was already committed to 2 other movies. The part eventually went to a young actor, Omri Katz, who was 16 years old.
Oh, come on, it's just a bunch of hocus pocus.
Also joining the young gang, Vanessa Shaw and an 11-year-old Thora Birch.
A virgin lit the candle.
With the cast in place, the makeup and costume department began to test characters' visuals. Each witch should have their own identity, and costume chief Mary Vaught knew that. Bette Midler actively participated in the entire creation process. The Wicked Witch of the West from The Wizard of Oz and Angelica Houston's performance in The Witches served as inspiration. Visually, Bette wanted Winifred to have long teeth and a unique hairstyle.
I wanted her to have teeth because basically she was a flesh eater, but it also gave her a very kind of cuckoo appearance. And the hair I took from Elizabeth I of England.
For Mary, the alchemist who mixed the magic potions, the inspiration was to create a witch who cooked.
We're young.
I am beautiful.
Sarah had a touch of princess, and the costume used for inspiration was the classic used in Sleeping Beauty.
She's very seductive and she's completely unedited.
Farewell. Maybe next time.
And she's just awful and I just love her.
Meanwhile, the production team worked on finding locations, designing the special effects, and building the sets. Although the story takes place in Salem, Massachusetts, most of the movie was shot almost 3,106 miles away inside Disney's studios in Los Angeles, California. On the list of important locations that took place in Salem was the Pioneer Village, which served as the home for Thackeray Binks in the opening sequence of the movie. The real location is an open-air museum with houses that recreate the city's atmosphere in the 17th century. And just 500 metres away is the private property that served as the front for Max and Danny's home. And located 1.24 miles from the site, further into the city centre, is Alison's home, which is called the Ropes Mansion, a historic mansion built in the middle of 1720, which today is managed by a museum. A few blocks away is the old town hall used for the Halloween ball. The interior scenes were recorded in California, but the facade of the building that once served as the city hall worked for the external scenes of the party. For the Sanderson sisters' house, they studied Salem's architecture from the 17th century and built the entire house in a Disney studio in Burbank, California. The movie's setting was immense. Everything around the house, including a forest, a cemetery, and a road, was built by the movie's set design team.
Action!
Hocus Pocus began shooting on October 12, 1992, and among the biggest production challenges were the special effects.
It's not like magic, I could just fly. They have to put harnesses and ropes and whatever, and that, you know, that kind of puts some strain on your body because gravity and everything.
The costume department created 2 cape styles for the witches, a short one for the actresses to walk, and a long one for the complicated flight scenes.
Damn, damn, double damn!
Today, these scenes would be digitally done, but in the early 90s, the reality was different, and most of them were made by the actresses themselves.
It was very, very hard because you had to hold on to that broom and make all these gestures and carry on and act at the same time. It was really tough.
It's over there.
It's over where? It's over there!
No, to your left, Mark.
Hanging from cables that slid along rails attached to the top of the studio.
Can we do this again, please?
For the close-up shots, cranes were used. It was more comfortable for the cast. Hoisted 13 feet from the ground on the cranes, the actresses had more flexibility to act, and the crew were more in control of their movements.
We fly!
For some action scenes, miniature puppets were built identical to the witches. These dolls, combined with a blue screen called chroma key, created an explosive effect on screen. To play Billy Butcherson, Winifred's zombie lover, Doug Jones, was cast.
Go to hell!
To be put into makeup, he took around 2.5 hours. And to lose his head in certain scenes, a stunt woman was dressed in a special costume to create the effect on screen. For extra reality on screen, the crew really buried Jones on Disney's set. And for the scene where he cuts his sealed lips, those are real moths flying out of his mouth.
Cut! Yeah!
Thackeray Binks, in his feline form, was a huge complication for the visual effects department, who combined real cats with animatronics, a mix between a robot and computer-generated images.
Come on, move it!
They used 8 cats with different abilities, and the cast had a small horn to attract trained cats. For the talking scenes, they used real cats on set, and in post-production, computer images were added, a brand new technique at the time.
You can talk.
Yeah, no kidding.
Now, get the spell book. Come on, move it!
The special effects department created 3 different books for the production. One had all the spells written inside to be filmed for close-ups, another one with animatronics for the eyes' movements, and a third stunt book for the actors to use on action scenes with no fear of damage. Ortega's background as a choreographer can be seen throughout different moments in the film, like the Sanderson sisters' walk. It has no music, but definitely has rhythm and musicality.
For those 3 witches, it is about movement, and there's a lot of timing involved. We did a lot of counting, we did things on the beat, and people don't usually do that in films. Most people are very naturalistic in their behavior, but he didn't want naturalism, he wanted it to be very stylish. So he was counting behind the camera, 1, 2, 3, 4, turn on 5, and step, 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 walk, beat, make a gesture.
Boom, shot.
It was all very dance-oriented.
I put a spell on you. And now you're mine.
The famous scene at the Halloween ball also was Ortega's idea. At the time, fearing that a musical could break the narrative, Kirshner was against the sequence. Ortega won around the Disney president with one exception: the musical should be part of the movie's plot.
Now the witch is back!
Screenwriters came up with the idea of Winifred enchanting the ball, and she'd sing a classic from 1956 called I Put a Spell on You.
I put a spell on you, and now you're gone.
Composer Mark Shaman previously worked with Midler and was brought in to create an exclusive version for her.
Your wretched little lives have all been cursed 'cause of all the witches working, and the worst.
The result is one of the most memorable movie scenes, and Kirshner admits that he loves the sequence today. Hocus Pocus finished shooting in January 1993, and now Disney set about deciding when to release the film to theatres. In 1993, Nightmare Before Christmas, a stop-motion animation from the director Tim Burton, was already in production, and its release was scheduled for October. 2 Halloween-themed movies released simultaneously could divide the audience and conflict with the studio's gross. For this reason, Hocus Pocus premiered on an unusual date, July 16, 1993, in the middle of the US summer. The result didn't enchant the critics. The New York Times said Bette Midler in heavy makeup was an unholy mess.
This is the end.
No.
Box office results were just as bad. At the release weekend, the Sandersons entered at 4th position, and the following weekend, their position plummeted. On the same day Hocus Pocus premiered, Warner Brothers released Free Willy, which also competed for the family's attention in cinemas. The Sanderson sisters also competed with the dinosaurs from the blockbuster Jurassic Park, which didn't help Disney's performance at all. With negative reviews and results far below expectations at the box office, the movie seemed doomed to oblivion. In the late 1990s, celebrations around Halloween increased, and it became more popular among North Americans. In 1997, 4 years after Hocus Pocus's release, an article in the New York Times pointed out that Halloween had already surpassed Easter sales and occupied the second-ranking position in decorative holidays. With such popularity, entertainment companies invested in the theme with costumes, parties, and of course, special programming on TV channels.
31 Nights of Halloween, only on Freeform.
Themed movies started to broadcast on TV during the holiday, and Hocus Pocus was a main feature. Year after year, the reruns became more frequent and also more watched. In the late 2000s, Hocus Pocus, which in 1993 was a box office flop, emerged as the highest rated Halloween movie on TV. The reruns had become so frequent that in 2019, the movie was shown 27 times during October on the Freeform channel.
I found it quite lovely.
And just like the Sanderson sisters were conjured one Halloween night and returned from the ashes, so was Hocus Pocus.
We're home.
Over the last decade, the movie's sales and popularity has increased significantly, and since 2014, it appears among the 10 best-selling DVDs on Halloween. In recent years, the movie's costumes have also become popular. Merchandising has exploded in all kinds of products in stores, and even a special show with the Sanderson sisters is performed all throughout October at the Magic Kingdom, one of Disney's most famous theme parks.
Sisters, to the cauldron.
In 2015, Bette Midler fans were ecstatic during her Divine Intervention tour when she included the number I Put a Spell on You on her set list. And just like a spell that took a while to conjure, Hocus Pocus gained cult status and became a pop culture phenomenon. Movie memes and quotes spread across social media, and the cast were brought together in 2 great specials. In 2018, on the 25th anniversary of its release, an event was broadcast with the presence of all the stars, and on Halloween 2020, properly dressed as the Sanderson sisters, Bette Midler, Sarah Jessica Parker and Kathy Najimy gathered for a benefit special broadcast online.
The picture that I liked myself the best in was Hocus Pocus.
In several interviews, Bette has stated that Winifred was her favourite character to play.
And I understand it's one of your favorites.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
And she'd return for a sequel if Disney was interested.
So I'm grateful for it. It was also the most fun I ever had on the screen.
And over the years, fans have made enough noise and fuss asking for a sequel that finally, in December 2020, Disney announced a new movie would be developed for the streaming platform Disney+.
Hi everyone, we are the infamous Sanderson sisters of Hocus Pocus.
And now Hocus Pocus 2.
In the cast, besides the return of Bette Midler, Sarah Jessica Parker and Kathy Najimy, Doug Jones returns in the role of Billy Butcherson.
Lock up your children! Yes, Salem, we're back!
If every story has a moral, the one in Hocus Pocus is that you can benefit immensely over time. The movie's success took a while to become apparent, but eventually it became a worldwide hit. In 2022, after 29 years, the Black Flame candle will be lit again. Hocus Pocus 2 will premiere worldwide on September 30th exclusively on Disney+, and one thing is for sure, Winifred, Sarah and Mary, the Sanderson sisters, are back and more alive than ever.
Always.